Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on miscellaneous conversions. Changing fractions to percentages. To change a fraction to a percentage, multiply by 100 over 1. Example 1. Change 2 over 5 to a percentage. Here's our 2 over 5. So you take 2 over 5 and you multiply by 100 over 1, because that's what the rule says. And that changes your answer to a percentage. 2 times 100 is 200, 5 ones are 5. 5 divided into 200 goes 40 times, so the answer is 40%. Example 2, change 4.5 to a percentage. The solution, 4.5 is 9 over 2, so you change it to an improper fraction. 2 fours are 8, plus 1 is 9, 9 over 2. Multiply by 100 over 1, and the answer becomes a percent. 9 times 100 is 900, 2 ones are 2. 900 over 2, or half of 900, or 2 divided into 900, gives you 450. So it's 450%. Changing percentages to fractions. To change a percentage to a fraction, divide the percentage by 100 and simplify. Example 1. Change 15% to a fraction. So the solution, 15%, becomes 15 out of 100. Of course, we saw in previous videos that a percentage was a number out of 100. Now you have 15 over 100. Now we have to simplify that. 15 divided by 5 goes 3 times. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So you divide top and bottom by 5. So it gives you 3 over 20, and that's the simplest fraction. Example 2, change 130% to a fraction. So 130% is 130 over 100. You divide top and bottom by 10, which gives you 13 over 10, which is 1 3/10. Changing decimals to percentages. To change a decimal to a percentage, move the decimal point 2 places to the right. Example 1. Change 0.45 to a percentage, and the solution, 0.45, so here is the decimal point. You move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So it ends up behind the 5, so the answer is 45%. Example 2, change 3.08 to a percentage. Here is the decimal point. There it is there. You move it 2 places to the right, so it's behind the 8, so it's 308%. Changing percentages to decimals. To change a percentage to a decimal, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So example 1, change 78% to a decimal. With 78%, the decimal point is here. Move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2, so it's to the left of the 7, so it's 0.78. Change 8% to a decimal. So here is the decimal point here. You move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2, which means you have to insert a 0. There's your decimal point, so it's 0.08. So it's 0.08. Changing fractions to decimals. To change a fraction to a decimal, write the fraction so that it has a denominator of 100. So you find an equivalent fraction so that the denominator is 100. Now we'll start off with simple examples just to teach you how to do it so you can practice. After that, move the decimal point in the numerator 2 places to the left. Now here's a perfect example. Let's see how this operates. We're going to write 7 over 25 as a decimal. Now here's our 7 over 25. Now remember, we need to make the denominator 100. You can see that's very easy to do here, because all you do is you multiply the denominator by 4. So you must do the same to the numerator. So you multiply top and bottom by 4. 7 fours are 28. 25 times 4 is 100, so it's 28 over 100. Now, the decimal point, so after that, move the decimal point in the numerator 2 places to the left. So because you're dividing by 100, you move the decimal point, which is here, 2 places to the left. So that's why you have 0.28. And finally, changing a decimal to a fraction. To change a decimal to a fraction, move the decimal place 2 places to the right, divide by 100, and simplify. So let's see how we do it with this example. Change 0.65 to a fraction. So here's our 0.65. You move the decimal point 2 places to the right, so it becomes here to the right of the 5, so it becomes 65. The next rule says divide by 100, so you put that over 100, so now we have 65 over 100. And the last thing we have to do, we simplify. So we have 65 over 100, and we have to simplify it. So you divide top and bottom by 5, because 5 divides into those two numbers evenly. 65 divided by 5 is 13. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So the answer is 13 over 20.